Hey, what's happening, everyone? It's GBall, and we're about at the halfway point of 2026, and I got to thinking, what have some of my favorite knives been so far this year that I have checked out? I have conjured up quite the list for you. Now, if this is your first time stopping by, welcome to GBall Vision. Drop a comment below. Let me know what your EDC is looking like. We're going to kick the video off with one of my early purchases in the year, the BBNM. This is going to have quite the hefty price tag, coming in right about $380 in this particular version. You can get them in SLD Magic for about $330, so still a pretty hefty price point. We are looking at 3V for the blade steel, and this also has a belt satin DLC finish. They did tantos like you see here, and they also did drop points. Love the aesthetic of this knife. It is more of a premium beater type knife, if you want to say that. Frag titanium handles, a lower mounted clip, and that is going to be left hand friendly. It is going to be an external frame lock. Great access, and it is chamfered off. That's going to be moving on washers, but mine has broken in beautifully. It really thwacks out of the handle. Still requires a little shake or two on the close, but all in all, it has smoothed out beautifully. About 3.6 inches of that CPM 3V. So this is no small knife. You have plenty of room to move around. Some people love this aesthetic. I do. And some people don't care for this area here. I don't mind it. That is still plenty of edge to do what you need to do. And not everything has to be about ratios and having as much blade length. Some things are just awesome because they are. And that's the way the BBNM is, to me at least. I think that is one serious knife, if you like that aesthetic. Here we have one coming in from Real Steel. This is the Griffin Ultimatum, another knife from them that I think has made a huge splash here over the last year or two. I think quietly they do a phenomenal job every year, but they can definitely throw it all on the table if they want to. The Griffin Ultimatum is going to have quite a hefty price tag, but for good reason. Comes in about $285, and you're going to be looking at 3.6 inches of Vanex Super Clean, ran 60 to 61 HRC. They did these beautiful machine satin finishes, and I think they did stonewashed as well. Cut out for the deployment. Really nice drop point, fairly thick actually on the blade stock, but it comes down about 23 thousandths behind the edge, so very standard stuff. It is going to be a standard button plunge lock, but it is done really, really well. I would not let that hold you back from getting this knife if you like it. It is done. It's one of the best button plunge locks that I have handled, and they have another one that I'll be featuring here in the coming days that is another plunge lock done really, really well. Good hefty plunge, solid lockup. As my regular viewers know, I test every single knife that comes through, and this one has been tested on multiple occasions, and it is perfectly fine. Really nice diamond textured titanium handles, and then a milled titanium clip that is going to be right hand carry only. A solid job from Real Steel. And when they get their hands on the button compression lock, button liner lock, I think they're really going to make some waves. They're actually the first company who did a button frame lock with the Evolution, and that was an absolute grand slam game winner right there. Highly recommend if you haven't checked out the Evolution. That's one to scope out. We got one from CJRB. This is the Double Tap. As you can tell, several of these are going to be pretty big knives because that's what I really like, and this is a list of my favorites so far this year. So the Double Tap here, an absolute monster, and it's going to have the recoil V2 lock on it, D2 for the blade steel, and these come in about $70. So great price for this knife right here. A very fair price. Textured G10 backspacer, and then a lower mounted clip. And that's going to be right hand carry only. You do have a lanyard hole though for the lanyard fans. This thing is laid out almost like feels kind of like it's meant to be a revolver style handle, but you have that massive blade of the recoil V2 lock with the dual thumb studs, and that makes this knife very fun and very fidgety. And through all the testing I've done, I've had over probably 10 recoil V2 locks at this point, tested every single one of them many times, and it's just like a standard crossbar lock, and maybe even better than a standard crossbar lock. But we have found that crossbar locks are very dependable, reliable locking systems. Not the strongest in the world, but for a folding knife, an EDC knife, they're going to get the job done every time. And I don't think I said 3.9 inches of that D2. So this is a big boy. And you got that 50-50 area. You can choke up right behind the edge, really get into something if you need. And you have a ton of reach with how this handle is laid out. You can come all the way back for like a 3-finger grip if you needed that for whatever reason. There are certain occasions where you might need something like that. And in the case of this, you will have a beast in your pocket and you'll be able to have good reach with it. And hey, if you're enjoying this video, you like knives and gear, you're in the right place. Double check and make sure you're subscribed here to the channel. It helps me out tremendously here. The next knife we're kicking it off with is the Concept Bison. The guys who have been watching me for quite a while know I'm a huge fan of the Bison. I like Ray Laconico as well, and that's what we have here, a Ray Laconico design with Concept. These are going to come in about $195. It depends on the version that you're looking at, but they're all going to be right there around $200. And this thing is a monster. We have 4 1/4 inches of S35 VN, dual thumb studs for the deployment. This one has a black wash finish, but they do them in all kinds of different colorways and finishes. I love the built-in guard on this titanium handle, and I think it looks really cool with the 2 colors. The contrast looks awesome with the black hardware. This is actually my favorite version out of the ones that they did. You have a milled tie clip to match all your hardware, and that is going to be right hand carry only. Great access to the lock bar and beautiful action on this monster. You can reverse flick it all day long, thumb flick, easy peasy, and then it's going to drop nice and smooth on the close. Just excellent stuff from Concept. They could have a bunch of knives on this list right here, but I tried to spread out the love as much as I could. And another note on this video, some knives just aren't on this list because they are not available. And then there's some knives I forgot about, and there's other knives I just didn't put on the list because I didn't want to make the video 2.5 hours. But I did take quite a bit of time and go back through the year and pick out a lot of my favorites, knives that I carried quite a bit for an extended period. And one of those is certainly going to be the Kershaw Bare Knuckle. When this knife came out not too long ago, actually, my jaw dropped because this is an incredible knife right here for the money. Made in the USA from Kershaw, the Bare Knuckle. It's kind of a revamp of a previous Bare Knuckle. It's an upgrade, if you will. They come in about $185, which is a stellar price point for a USA made knife. Not to mention it's going to be coming in Magna Cut and it's done properly, 63, 64 HRC. Nice and thin. It's a great size, 3.5 inches of cutting edge, dual thumb studs for the deployment. Sharpening choil is solid, and the Duralock, their crossbar lock, is phenomenal. Nice strong springs. No, it doesn't feel like a real detent, but it's not mushy either. It's nice and strong, and as soon as you pull back on that crossbar lock, that blade is falling home nice and easy. Aluminum for the handle material, and then a really nice deep carry clip, ultra deep carry clip that'll be buried in the pocket, and I believe that's left hand friendly as well. Bare Knuckle though, if you're looking for a USA made blade that is not going to break the bank, so to speak, you want to get the most for your money, this right here is going to be hard to beat because Magna Cut is one of the most, if not the most, well-rounded steels that you can get your hands on at this current point in time. and you have a great company like Kershaw doing the build work. Just a great recipe right here with the new bare knuckle. So here's where we're going to run into a little bit of trouble, because this knife is currently not in stock, but I'm hoping they will be. So if you're watching this in the future, maybe you can get a chance to get your hands on one. But these knives hung around a lot longer than they ever should have. I do have one to put in for its place, but I wanted to show it off quickly. It's the Vosteed Xeno. These come in about $300. Another knife coming in VanX Super Clean. I'm a big fan of VanX Super Clean, so that's why we have a couple knives with it on this list. Now, the Vanker lock is what they're using here, and that is one of my favorite locking mechanisms. So this was, when this was released, one of my favorites. I couldn't stop raving about this knife, and they hung around for weeks and weeks after they were released. I mean, a couple versions might have sold out on the website and maybe at Blade HQ or something, but for the most part, several versions hung around for quite a while. I couldn't really understand it because this knife is superb. Blue wash titanium handle, backspacer, and pocket clip. This pocket clip design is superb stuff. The lock is excellent. The HRC and treatment of the VanX is good to go. Just a beautiful EDC knife right there on the premium side. But the knife that's going to fill in for it, I decided to go with the Croc 329 here. This knife, I really enjoy it. It is going to be sporting their top liner lock. These come in just under 140, and you're going to be looking at 3.3 inches of S35VN. You do have a cutout for deployment along with a front flipper. You can get these in a bunch of different versions. The Xeno came in 4 or 5 different versions as well. And then we're looking at aluminum for the handle material. And then we have inserts of camo carbon on both sides. What's cool is they have a bunch of aftermarket accessories and parts that you can get for the Croc and several of their knives at this point, but mainly is the inlays on the Croc. I actually changed the clip and the inlays on this one. I think it looks awesome with the black hardware on the inlays, the raw hardware on the body, and then the pocket clip satin blade. I think it looks really, really cool. You'll have to let me know what you think. But then you have the top liner lock to add onto this. Just a great knife at 140. Really good materials, an awesome locking mechanism. Vosteed has just continued to kill it year after year, and 2026 is lining up to be maybe their best year yet. Here we got another big boy, and this one is coming in from Offgrid Knives. This is the Rhino Elite, an absolute badass of a knife, if you want my opinion. It is a monster. It is going to be a Bestech OEM, and we're looking at a price point of $289 on this guy. They did 2 or 3 different versions. I think it was 2. 9 1/4 overall with a 4-inch Magna Cut blade, ran 6364 HRC. Now we have the addition of thumb studs on this bad boy. The original Rhinos just came with flipper tabs. Well, now you have both of them, and that was a superb addition to this knife. They also increased the size over there. Carry, awesome people, awesome business. I love Offgrid Knives. They are based in Cali. They have some of their products made in Taiwan, some by Bestech, but they also have some stuff by Kunwu now as well. So they're really spreading out the love. But I really like Offgrid because they support veterans and military, law enforcement, government agencies, and they're pro 2A. So I really like them as a company, and not to mention lifetime warranty on their knives. So that's pretty hard to beat. Full titanium handle, backspacer, and the best deep carry clip in the game. Easily my favorite deep carry clip. It's a triple Torx T8s, and it's beautifully done. It is titanium. That is exactly what I want to see. It carries flush, works really well in and out of the pocket. It is recessed, and it's going to be left-hand friendly with a filler tab, great access to that lock bar, and I know firsthand that they are working on other locking mechanisms for some of these knives in the future, and I told Carrie straight up, if this bad boy had a button frame lock, oh my goodness, like it's amazing right now. But if you threw in a button frame lock with access to the frame, oh man, it would be, this is a superb XL knife. If that's your thing, you like premium knives, this one is really hard to beat. Next, we have one coming in from Ferrum, and this is a knife I've had a lot of trouble putting down here recently. Although Ferrum has had a lot of awesome knives come out here over the last year, this is the one that takes the cake, at least for me personally. This particular one is going to come in right at $300, and that's because it's got a DLC finish, but you can pick them up for like $260 if you go with the non-DLC, but I have a 10% code that would take this one down closer to $260. And you're going to be looking at S90V. This bad boy is 8.7 inches overall, so it's a really good size. 3.82 inches of total blade here. Like I said, excellent size, lots of room to move around on this guy. It is slicey as all hell. The S90V is ran 60 to 62, exactly where you want it. Thumb studs for the deployment, and it has beautiful action. Titanium handles here, and then titanium for the backspacer and pocket clip, and that does have a lightning ano on it, and I think that is the right amount of lightning ano. I'm not a huge fan of knives that have the entire scale in it or big chunks of it, but just a subtle touch like this right here done this way, I don't mind that whatsoever. I think it gives it a nice flash with the DLC kind of all murdered out, and then you have those two splashes of color. But the Reaver, and they have some really cool versions of this knife. This isn't just the only cool one here. They have a reverse tux type one that looks really good. So they all look really good, as a matter of fact. But the Reaver here, one of my favorite knives to come out in 2026 so far. Here's another one that almost got cut from this list because it was really hard to actually track this down. I know these sold out pretty quick on the Remet website, but I actually found them in stock on Amazon. It says delivery on like June 11th, at least when I am recording this, so that could change, but you should be able to buy all versions of this knife at the time I am recording this and at the time you are hopefully seeing it. But this is the Remet Infinite Power. These come in about $240. This is a knife that I still get out on a weekly basis and carry it just because I absolutely love the knife. It is insanely comfortable. It's not the best cutter in the world, but you're not really getting this knife to use it to cut 100 miles of cardboard with it, right? But for EDC tasks and stuff like that, no problem at all. You are looking at M390. You have that bayonet spear point like blade, and I like it. You know, would I want every knife like this? No, but for this particular setup, I like that blade shape. You do have the cutout there for aesthetics, and then this is going to be a rear flipper with beautiful action. If you're someone who likes a rear flipper, man, this is so good because you have a titanium body with a full-length titanium backspacer and a tie clip, but this is going to be their pivot-based button liner lock with access to the liner. Talk about the ultimate duo right there. I absolutely love this thing. Oh, and you can front flip it as well. So just a knife that I've had tremendous trouble putting down because it's so fun. It's really cool, insanely comfortable because of the height of the handle, the thickness, plus that full-length backspacer. It is left and right hand friendly. Even have a spot for a lanyard. This knife was insanely popular, really hard to track down, but you can pick them up on Amazon. So I thought to myself, I want to put a Jack Wolf in this video, but I wasn't quite sure which one to put in. And I thought, you know, might as well put the brand new release in this video. This is the Feel Better Jack in the purple abalone. These are going to be released on May 22nd, I believe it is. I'll have more info down in the description, links, coupon codes, release dates, all that type of thing. This is the only one that at the time of recording this isn't actually released, but there's going to be 4 or 5 different versions of this knife. They're going to come in at $350 like the standard locking jack wolves do in the premium form, and this is going to be a runner-up off the Feel Good Jack, right? The slip joint. You have that nice Wharncliffe blade, a beautiful belt satin in S90V. You have the fuller and front flipper for deployment. Excellent action. And then we have titanium for the bolsters and the back spacer, but that is going to be polished and looks beautiful. And then we have the purple abalone for the inserts. I think this looks amazing with the polished back spacer and pocket clip along with that belt satin blade. That is an excellent looking knife right there. But here again, that is going to require quite the hefty price tag. Nonetheless, Jack Wolf, month after month, puts out awesome knives, and I wanted to include at least one of them in this video. The Feel Better Jack, definitely a solid option for a premium gentleman's knife. Next, we have one of my most carried knives of the entire year, and that is going to go to the EMP EDC Nimble XT. And believe it or not, there are versions of this knife in stock. He did like 8 or 9 different ones, and there's some really cool ones that have bright, vibrant colors, and then you have some that are a little bit more subtle, like this one here, and they're all going to be right around $345. You are looking at a belt satin Magna Cut Tanto blade here. Absolutely love it. Nice full-size finger choil so you can choke up right behind that edge. About 3.6 inches of total blade. You do have a cutout front and rear flipper for the deployment. Beautiful titanium handles. You have gold hardware, pivot collars, body screws, and pocket clip. That is all going to be titanium, of course. And then you have the EMP EDC logo there on the pivot. I think it looks beautiful. One of my favorite knives, of course, this year. Jimping up the spine is excellent. You know me, if you do, at least. Absolutely love this EMP EDC right here. It is right up my alley. The Magna Cut is ran 6364 HRC, exactly where we would want it. They come in a ton of different flavors: satin, stonewash, DLC. Oh, and it has a compound hollow grind for our blade. So this thing is ultra slicey, in my opinion. For an EDC knife, a general utility knife, this thing is slicey as all hell. That is the EMP EDC Nimble XT. And I think many of us were waiting on the time that ZT and Kershaw would come back, hoping they would come back. And I think they have certainly made their way back to center stage, and they could really grab a hold of that. I made a whole video on it, like 30 minutes long, on Kershaw ZT and the tremendous job they have done here over the last 2 years. But the knife we're going to be taking a look at is kind of a nod back to some older ZTs, that overbuilt aesthetic and look and feel, but with some modern touches. The 0203 here is going to come in right under $300. Of course, you got the USA made ZT line here, so it's going to garner a little higher price tag than something like Kershaw would do, even in the USA line, for whatever reason. We are, however, going to be looking at CPM M4 for the blade steel, and they're running it right where it needs to be. I believe 62, 63 HRC. ZT and Kershaw do a phenomenal job on the heat treats with their Magna Cut, M4, crew wear, CPM 154, their D2, just all the way around. They do an awesome job. But this thing is an absolute monster. You got 4 inches of the CPM M4. Nice sharpening choil there. The thumb studs are oversized, so you can really get a hold of them. textured G10 over top of steel liners, and then a deep carry clip, and that is going to be reversible. You know, I don't think this knife deserves the $300 price tag. I feel like and wish that, and I've said this before, I've patted them on the back where they need padded, and I've also criticized where I thought, you know, some knives and some things need criticized. And I'd like to feel like, you know, I'd have no problem with someone going and getting this knife at all. But I feel like I wish they would offer just a little bit more. Like, could we get a titanium deep carry clip? You know, and does that change the function? No, but it's a nice touch. You know what I mean? And maybe just a few touches like that to garner that $296. Because I think that could easily be incorporated here for not a lot of money. But I love the crossbar lock on this, the Duralock. It's using those tabs. They are stepped, and it's just beautiful. And for how big and heavy that blade is, they did a great job tuning those springs, because here again, they're nice and strong, very strong. And you better be ready to kick this bad boy out, because it comes out a hellin'. You can reverse flick it, thumb flick it, slow roll it, use the crossbar lock. Very fun, but this is going to be a reliable folding knife for you. As I said earlier, crossbar locks aren't the strongest locks in the folding knife world, but one thing is for sure, they are dependable and they are durable for what they are. For an EDC, even a work knife, crossbar lock is going to do the job. I do have one honorable mention before we get to the last couple here. This is the Artisan Cutlery Darkwing. It's actually the Blackwing from the Darkwing series, and it is on a Kickstarter right now that's been fully funded. It was fully funded in the first hour. They did 5 or 6 different versions. They're all going to be in varying price points because they're all different materials, but you are going to be looking at S90V on the blade steel, which is superb. Artisan does some of the best production S90V that I know of. You have a cutout and studs for the deployment. You don't have the front flipper like you did with the frame lock variant, and that's because this is going to be a button actuated compression lock, and they do a great job with it. This is the third knife I think that I've tried with the button compression lock from Artisan, and they definitely have a good handle on it already. The Dark Knight variant here, or whatever they're calling it, has a black wash titanium handle and then black wash finish on the blade, along with that titanium clip there, and that is going to be right hand carry only. You do have a semi-floating backspacer to match. Just a really cool knife, very comfortable. I've had a lot of people tell me how comfortable they think this knife is and how awesome it is that picked up the frame lock variant, and I couldn't agree more. It's also very slicey, very pokey, you know, maybe not the most ideal blade shape if you don't have any knives at all, but if you have a little collection rolling, or you have a collection rolling, this could be an easy choice to add. Now we're going to get to number 3 on this list, and not that these have really been in any particular order, it's just how I have it set up, but I felt like this had to be ahead of the 0203, and that's because it is coming from Kershaw. It's made in the US. However, this is an out the side auto. It's going to be coming in fairly similar materials to the 0203 for about $120 less or so. Coming in at $170 is the Launch 21, fully made in the USA, like I said. And this is also going to be coming in CPM M4 steel, which is a phenomenal steel. One of my favorites, along with Van X. It is up there. MagnaCut is up there as well. But I'm a huge fan of M4 and Crewwear. And Kershaw ZT have been using a little bit of Crewwear here recently, and big fan of that. Awesome knife, though. I know some people might not be able to have an out the side auto, but I wanted to include at least one on this list. I tried to do and keep it different, have some different companies, different styles, but I think this definitely deserves to be on my favorites list somewhere. We have an aluminum handle with G10 inserts. Beautiful knife. deep carry clip, left-hand friendly, kind of a no-frills workhorse in and out the side auto. As far as the action goes, it's good. It's nice and snappy. It's responsive. As soon as you push down on that button, it is going to fly on out of there. Is it Pro Tech-like or Micro Tech-like? Maybe not, but you're not spending that type of money either. But I would say it's pretty damn solid in my opinion. It's got that launch action, and I would say it's on the better side, the stronger side of the launch series action. Really good stuff right here with the Launch 21 and just period from Kershaw and ZT. Now, this one here is not going to be a surprise to anyone who watches my channel. This is the Ketuo Griffin. I am a massive fan of this knife. It's one of my favorite knives, not only of the last year or two, but just ever. I love the Griffin knife, and it don't matter if you're talking about the $96 one or the $250 one, whichever one you want to choose. The full-size Griffin is a superb design that has incredible machining, fit and finish, tolerances. Everything is excellent on this knife. This one here is the G10 variant, so you can pick it up for about $96. I do have a couple of the premium ones as well, and they are just as good, if not even better, you know, depending on what you're looking for. But this one here is going to have a hand satin 14C28N blade steel, and then the premium one is going to be an M390. You have a cutout fuller combo for deployment, and that is done very, very good. Front and rear flipper for the deployment. Nice minimal rear flipper here. Done very well because it's tuned very well. And then a really, really nice front flipper. One of the best you will ever try. You can do anything your little heart desires, whether it's a index rollover, a reach around. Nothing is any trouble for this front flipper. It is done so well. And then on top of all that, you have a carbon fiber insert, a titanium clip, you have steel liners, and I believe this is a steel pocket clip for now. I think that's going to change to titanium here soon, but nonetheless, it looks awesome, and you get a titanium clip anyway. But it's going to be a button liner lock with access to the liner. My favorite locking mechanism as of 2026. The button liner lock with access is my favorite locking mechanism. It's something I can never really get bored of, because when you get bored of using the button, well, you can go right to the liner, and that is done really, really well. You have a great detent, smooth action, all the deployment options on this knife. None of them have been looked over. It's just a wondrous job from Ketuo and Reich on the Griffin series. One of my favorite knives of all time. One of my favorite knives of the entire year, and you know, I'm having trouble not putting it as number one, and that's why it's here at number one. It is the Offgrid Knives Polaris XL, and some of you are going to say that's not really fair, and I'm saying that because, if you may not know, this is actually a limited edition. They did 3 different versions. I think there was several hundred of each. I know there's less than 20 of each version now that is available at the time of recording this. Under 25, I want to say, and this one here is under 20. But it is the Polaris XL. It is a run that Offgrid did, a limited run that they did with Kun Wu, and it's going to be coming in Van X Super Clean, and on top of the Van X Super Clean, it's going to have a belt satin DLC finish to it with a polish on top. It looks amazing. Now, it is a fingerprint magnet if you're going to be touching the blade and whatnot, but when you clean this bad boy up, it is stunning. You have a cutout and rear flipper for the deployment. The action is superb. I love this knife, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great size. One of my favorite blade steels, coming from one of my favorite companies. You have a full titanium handle, carbon fiber inlay here on the show side, and that's what's going to be different from one version to the next, is just the inlay here. They're all going to be DLC, and they're all going to be in Vanex. You have a nice geared backspacer made out of titanium with a lanyard post, and then a beautiful milled titanium clip, and that is going to be left-hand friendly. They found a way to incorporate that and keep everything looking nice and clean. That is the good stuff from Offgrid Knives. They do such a fantastic job quietly, like several other companies I've mentioned. Offgrid deserves to be kind of front row center stage when it comes to cutting tools. They just do an awesome job, and there's no way around that. And like I said, they offer a lifetime warranty, so really hard to beat, in my opinion. I know it's not fair to have this as a number one, but I think it deserves to be up there, at least in the conversation, at least for me and what I have handled. So hopefully you might be able to get your hands on one of these, depending on when you are seeing this video, when you're watching the video, of course. But that'll wrap it up for this one. You'll have to let me know down in the comments, what has your favorite knife so far in 2026 been? Or if you have a couple, feel free to list several of them. I look forward to hearing from you. Be a solid and hit that thumbs up button. It helps push the video to more people. And if you want to make sure you're going to see daily dope knife and EDC content just like this, subscribe and ring that bell. I'll put up a couple of new videos you haven't seen yet. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Button pivot late, but this is going to be their button operated liner lock